Welcome to episode 51 of The Leap Home, Heart of a Champion.
In this week's episode, Sam has to help save a family member from himself as part of a wrestling tag team just one fight from glory. Aware that his brother has an undiagnosed heart defect but unable to persuade anyone that cancelling the bout is the right decision, Sam must find a solution within the squared circle. But with his signature move banned, does he have the skills to win the belt without risking his or his brother's health? Or is a painful reckoning in store?
Watch your step, Pee-wee. I'd hate to have to break you in half.
Good evening, Ian.
Good evening, Gerry. How are you this week?
A touch under the weather.
Yeah?
A bit of an earache.
Has someone broken you in half?
That's enough of that, Pee-wee.
Yeah. We're running the gamut of the various faux pas that Sam can commit this week.
Yeah, there are a few. And the obvious one with the woman who...
Yep, as you would anticipate.
Yes, she's quite forthright. Not Sam's type at all.
No. And the title is a bit on the nose.
Very much
episode.
so.
Heart of a Champion.
Heart of a Champion wrestler.
Literally the heart of the champion. Here it is, it's broken.
Yeah. Aside from that, I didn't hate it.
No, it was fine. It was enjoyable. It wasn't quite as deep as last week's episode.
No. Some interesting guest stars, which you know
Very
that
much
we'll
so,
cover, yeah?
Yep. Got a Columbo connection as well. Yeah, let's rattle through the socials.
Rattle through.
Rattle them. We are at Leap Home Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Say hello to us there if you like. We will respond usually. We are at The Leap Home on Facebook. We are at theleaphome.com, where you will find show notes for each and every episode. And if you go to YouTube, search for Columbo Podcast Productions, you'll find each and every episode there 1 week ahead of its podcast release. Please leave us comments there, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Anything you want to chat about before we crack on?
No.
Let's crack on.
The tag, as it's been the last few weeks, is exactly the same as at the tail end of the previous episode. We see Sam as a wrestler in a Soviet outfit, initially distracted by the crowd before being taken for a spin by his opponent.
Yeah, he is. I think they refer to it as aeroplaning, but I've noted helicoptered. Thanks.
That would make more sense.
More accurate, yeah. Above his opponent's head as the crowd boo him and his Rusky partner. And at this point we get the oh boy.
After the credits, the fight resumes in almost the same situation. We're told in a caption, it's the 23rd of July, 1955, and Sam is dumped in the ring but fights back with a roundhouse kick to the face.
Yeah, and we see at this point as well an older, old-fashioned looking woman urging him to get up from ringside before he
delivers this blow, yes. After he strikes this guy, we get a sort of squeaked, what did you do that for?
I wasn't sure watching this. Did he actually kick him? Because it was clearly a fake fall.
No, he did, because he ends up concussed.
Yeah, that's true. But
I don't think it's a fake fall. I think he's kind of lost his marbles. It's kind of a...
It's so delayed. He walks forward and then falls back the way.
Yeah. Well, it's a delayed fall because he's kicked in the face and he takes an instinctive step before collapsing. His legs give way.
The crowd continues to boo as Sam stresses that he didn't mean to hit him, but is told to go as the other guy's partner kneels beside his fallen teammate.
Yes, and Sam and his Soviet companion, who we learn is his brother Ronnie, are declared the winners.
Yeah, their hands are raised in victory as one of them, his partner, grabs the microphone and inflames the crowd by doing a terrible Russian accent and mocking their beloved capitalism and fear of communism.
I believe it's called cutting a promo.
Yes.
He gets Sam to join in. He talks about the capitalist pigs.
And then grabs a poster of some potential opponents. I think it's the Shiloh brothers, is that right?
Yes, that's right. They tear it up and the two of them eat part of the poster.
Yeah, I think they accuse these guys of avoiding them. Running scared. And we see a man in a cowboy hat who we later learn is Carl Shiloh himself, yeah. And he's standing beside a woman in red who is...
Sherry Shiloh, his wife.
He is seething.
Yes, Sam recognises him from the poster and quickly walks on.
Now, before we go any further, what's your background with wrestling? Are you a fan of the sport, the entertainment?
I watched a little bit around about 2000, 2001 when I was working late nights and it was on when I came in, but that's about it. I mean, generally you hear it in passing what's going on.
Yeah. As you know, I'm not really a fan, but strangely enough, I've got this odd habit of listening to podcasts and reading about subjects that I don't engage in, but I just find the background interesting.
Okay.
So I used to listen to a lot of episodes of the Colt Cabana podcast. I actually seen him live at the garage in Glasgow doing his live podcast, and I've listened to a number of books on the subject. Recently, the biography on Vince McMahon.
Okay, bad guy.
Yeah, very bad guy. I've read or listened to The Death of WCW and things like that, and a book on kayfabe. Do you know what kayfabe is?
No.
It's the pretense of everything being real.
Okay.
That's an industry term.
I was watching at the time that the McMahon bought WCW. That always struck me as a missed opportunity when he folded it into WWF. At the time, I felt he should have kept the brands separate and run them. Although he owned them both, he could have run them with like crossovers and stuff. But he decided just to fold it all into one.
Do you know who his best pal is?
Vince McMahon's probably Trump.
Yes.
There you go.
I think that says a lot.
It does indeed.
Anyway.
Sam is about to deliver his first and probably most egregious faux pas of the episode.
What's that?
He is shocked to learn that his own brother is not really Russian.
Yeah, they've moved into the dressing room at this point, and he says this out loud. You're not Russian.
Well, what was he thinking? He must think, okay, the person I am now must know that.
Yeah.
Surely that occurs to him.
But also, as we discussed last week, I picked up the fact that they wouldn't have been Russian from the...
Yeah. But Sam's heard him speaking a Russian accent and now in an American accent.
How does he think wrestling works?
Why would he think it's a surprise to his own teammate? Anyhow, he gets away with it because it kind of comes across like a joke.
Yeah. And Ronnie, his brother, compliments him on his karate kick.
This is strange. A lot of folks say, oh, it's a great move, but you can't do it.
Well, it's either something you can't do or
it's a great move. It can't be both a great move and illegal.
Well, I suppose what he means is it's an impressive move.
Yeah.
And whilst it's not illegal, it's not in the script.
And maybe it also was too effective. It brought the end to the fight too soon. That was one of the things they're about to complain about.
Of course, yeah. And if you don't tell your opponent that you're going to do it...
You can't sell it.
Yeah, so anyway, Sam, while they're having this discussion, sees himself in the mirror. He's a big lump.
Very much so.
Now, again, we have to have this discussion about the physical character that Sam inhibits and the aura.
It's just Sam's body, but he's just got the aura of somebody else.
Okay.
So he's only as strong as Sam.
Yeah, well, that's an issue I've got then, because Sam, later on, what he does to win a fight, it seems unrealistic. Him being, what, I don't know, 170 pounds, 13 stone or something like that.
Something like that.
Against a seasoned wrestler, maybe, well, he's billed at what, about 250, probably about...
I think they're billed as a joint weight, as a tag team is over 500 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Generally, these things are lies as well, but still, the guy's going to be a good few...
Pushing 300, maybe.
Who?
The big guy, Shiloh.
No. That would be then the two would be over 600.
Well, they're both over 300.
I say they're both about the same size.
You don't think one of them is a bit bigger than the other?
I don't know, but I think if they're saying 500, I say you can take a good bit off that. But still, my point is that the other guy's a seasoned wrestler.
Full of steroids. And he is... Quite
considerably bigger than Sam. I'm not sure Sam would be able to do what he did.
Well, we'll get to that. That's very much one of the questions I have later on.
Right, okay.
Sam claims to have invented this move that he performed, which makes no sense either.
Yeah, what move? It was a
kicking somebody. Oh, yes.
Although I'm thinking about it. Back then, before you did any of the martial arts movies, TV shows, did people use their feet in that sort of fashion?
Well, I remember, was it Shawn Michaels or someone had a signature move that was a kick to the face?
No, that's in 1955.
Yeah, I know, I'm just trying to think. So it makes sense that in 1955 maybe there wasn't something like this in the general...
There was no fighting like this. There were no boxers. There was no mixed martial arts. There was no kickboxing. You didn't have anything. There was no...
quite early days
there was no
wrestling.
There was no karate movies or anything like that. So it might, Where were we?
Ronnie tells Sam that the next time he invents a move, he should let everybody else know first because the promoter, Lamar, prefers the matches to last a bit longer.
And again, this is another schoolboy error by Sam here, or naivety. He doesn't realise
it's not real.
Wrestling. I mean, everyone knows that.
Even if he doesn't know that, he must think the person that I am now would know that. I can't question it. Let's go with it. But no.
Well, apparently we should say, everything is fixed apart from the title match.
That's the thing they would fix the most.
Yes. I can't see, I don't know how it worked back in the day. So obviously things got more theatrical in the sort of 80s and the 90s.
Yeah. And
there was let's not disparage them too much. They were, they're athletes and a lot of them could wrestle. I still think that everything would have been either genuine or not.
Yeah.
Because if you fix it, then you're not going to necessarily get a worthy final.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm taking it from this that Sam and his brother were meant to win this fight, because nobody questions him winning the fight, and they say that it was predetermined.
But they mentioned earlier on about it was meant to be the Mongolians.
No, the Mongolians are separate. They're in prison now. They're different people.
But they were meant to be fighting.
I don't think the Mongolians are the people that are fighting now. I think that's different people. Yeah, we never see the Mongolians.
Yeah, good point. So
these are just another tag team. So the fact that no one says to Sam, "You were meant to lose," says to me that they were meant to win this one.
Yeah, well, they're playing the heels, and I suppose you want to keep the bad guys around.
Oh, they have to win sometimes. They can't always lose.
No.
Yeah. Anyhow, after learning, and I suppose it's probably a little bit for the audience as well, this information about how the fights are staged, Ronnie takes a bit of a dizzy turn. Yeah,
he looks as if he's about to lose his balance, but he claims it's just the excitement of the night. And before Sam can talk to him about this matter, Lamar, who is the promoter, and the older woman enter, where we find she is part of Sam's family.
You are the manager. You've got to take control.
It was a mistake.
Would you mind telling me what the hell you think you were doing out there?
Well, you see, I was...
Look, he was trying to make a point.
What point?
That we're ready for a title shot.
Oh, is that what the poster thing was about? To try to pressure me into giving you a title match?
Well, you saw that move that Tara made. It was terrific.
It was incredible. But it wasn't in the script.
Also, it got a little carried away. What damage did it do?
How is he? Yeah, he has a slight concussion. Can he wrestle tomorrow?
Should probably rest.
That is not what I asked. I need him on the undercard tomorrow.
No.
No damage done, huh?
So he's young, but it was still one hell of a move.
Now look, I have already signed with the Chilo boys to meet the Mongolians tomorrow. Now you have got to wait your turn. And no more of that kicking stuff.
Well, I guess that's that.
I'm not going to give up that easy.
He's all right. Well, cheer up, little brother. At least we won this time.
If this was the thrill of victory, I didn't want to be around for the agony of defeat. The optimistic part of my brain was saying that maybe the worst was over, but the realistic side kept telling me that my troubles had just begun.
So a couple of things from that clip. The mother.
Yes, Lottie.
Lottie, she is also their manager.
Indeed.
I think that's quite common as well. I think you tend to get sort of wrestling families. I'm sure The Rock, his mother, was either a wrestler or a manager herself.
His dad certainly was.
Yeah.
And then
the Hart family.
Yep.
Also, we hear there that the doctor seems to be quite a professional chap.
Well, it seems to be. He's very much not going to just go along with what the promoter wants.
No, he's given his honest medical opinion, which is good, because, again, I've heard so many stories about wrestlers being forced to
fight when they're not fit. Yeah.
Not when they're fit, just normal injuries plus the more sort of serious concussions and things like that. Yeah, anyway.
Of course, Kane and The Undertaker are brothers.
Are they?
Not really brothers. I think that's just one of the stories.
Right, sure.
We then get more time with this woman in red, Sherry Shiloh.
Yeah, trouble appears in her form, I think it's fair to say. She claims that Carol was impressed by their victory, but not by the poster ripping. Now, it's just Sam who's left alone with her at this point.
Yes. She's quite flirty, which obviously puts him on the back foot, as you might imagine.
Yeah, she might be described as a man-eater. She looks into the shower room, has a little perv on the other guys who who are showering before coming on to Sam, which, because she's not vulnerable, she knows what she wants, she's very forceful. He's terrified and he hides in a locker. How big are these lockers? Because he's a massive guy.
Oh no, he's just got the aura of a massive guy. How would that look to everybody else? He's kind of concertinaed himself into it. He says he wants her to leave so he can have a shower, but she says there's nothing wrong with a bit of sweat, and in fact she insists upon it.
However, Sam is saved from
I'm not sure saved's the right word here.
Well, saved from having to do something that he would find immoral.
Yes, but not saved in the purest sense of the word.
No, because Carol storms into the changing rooms. He seems to be aware of what she is might be up to.
Indeed. He calls Sam boy and asks him how he's doing and asks if he's trying to rustle his wife.
Which obviously Sam assures him that he wasn't, but both the men spin around when she playfully claims that they were in fact just about to go for it on the floor.
Indeed. Sam wants her to admit that that's not true, but she's not for that.
No, she smiles and refuses to do so before claiming to be starving and walking off as Sam is forced back into the locker, as we heard.
At the top of the podcast, yes. Carl then leaves and Al...
No. Before Carl leaves, come on, we can't ignore what he does to show how tough he is.
We heard it in the clip. He bends the locker door over his head.
Yeah.
I suppose you can't really hear that. Yeah, fair enough.
No, he rips it off its hinges and then bends it over his head. It's sort of typical wrestling nonsense.
Yes. He does then leave and Al shows up and notes that Sherry must have strong bones.
Yes.
Sam thinks that would generally be a plus in the world of wrestling.
Anyway, he's quite angry, Sam is, and wants to know what is going on. So Al confirms the date and that he and Terry are brothers. They're pro wrestlers.
He is Terry.
Yeah, he's Terry. Ronnie's his brother.
Yep.
And they're pro wrestlers in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, they go by the title The Battling Ruskies. Lottie's their mother, and Terry's only been in the team for a week because his brother's just died. But nobody really mentions that as a current concern. Yeah,
he died in a car crash. I'm not sure if his brother's just died or if he just... No, I think they say he just joined the team a week ago.
Maybe there's some time since his brother...
Yeah, his brother might have died a year ago.
Who knows? Their father was slamming Sammy Samus, and although he wrestled for 10 years, he never made it to the big time. However, before Frank's death, he had paired with Ronnie, and they were touted as title contenders together.
So Sam immediately assumes that he is there to get a shot at this title, but before this can be confirmed, the mother enters and shouts on both sons to inform them of something.
Yes, they now have their title shot because the Mongolians, who are due to fight the Shilohs, the next night are in jail.
Yeah, they've been punching some cops in a bar fight.
She's very excited, although she does accept that they only got this gig because there literally isn't anybody else.
Yeah. So Lamar could have cancelled it, but he had obviously money and...
Yeah, invested in the next night's show.
So they've been brought in as sort of late substitutes, as it were.
Sam's obviously delighted. He thinks he's there to get them a title shot and it's been achieved already.
Yeah. However, Al has other news.
Yes, he tells him that Ronnie cannot fight in this title match because it will kill him.
Yeah, that's put a bit of a dampener on Sam's attitude.
But as is common lately, Al doesn't have all the information.
Yeah, we fade back in, a little time has passed, and although Al doesn't have a reason for Ronnie's death, he does mention that Ronnie is married to Myra and they've got a young son. I think his name's Hank.
It is. Sam sends him away to get more specific information.
Well, you'd want to know that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. We see some tumbleweed passing in front of a bar, and inside Ronnie and Sam are chatting over a beer.
Yeah, they're celebrating their opportunity, and I think that Ronnie talks of hanging the championship belts at the end of Hank's bed and banging them all a house so they can get off the road. This is pure dead meat talk.
Yes, if you're already making your plans, yes.
Yeah. This is my last fight before I retire.
Yeah. One last case. Apparently, Sam won't have to live in a trailer anymore, but given that Sam knows what's going to happen, he just looks a bit concerned the whole time.
Yeah, and they then go on to talk about a new hold for this fight.
Yeah, but because Sam's signature kick move has been banned for this fight, I think Lottie tells him that when she tells him about the matchup. Ronnie suggests he maybe works on something new, maybe a sleeper hold, but Sam, I think, appears morally opposed to the idea of knocking somebody out by depriving them of oxygen.
Do you know who apparently he was a wrestler and back in the day and a stuntman? Gene LaBelle. The rumour is that Steven Seagal was mouthing off about how tough he was and how he could kick this. Like, Gene LaBelle's he's a well-known old wrestler.
Okay.
He died actually just a few months ago, maybe a year ago.
Right.
Lots of movies as bit parts and doing stunt work. But yeah, on a set, Seagal was boasting about how tough he was and how a wrestler couldn't beat him. And apparently, and there have been witnesses to this, little Gene LaBelle puts a chokehold on him, makes him pass out, and he defecates himself.
It's unfortunate. Well, which one defecates himself?
Seagal.
Okay. He did it. I thought you meant Gene did it onto Seagal.
That'd be good as well, yeah. After he does it, the final insult, he just takes a piss over him.
He doesn't know who it was and he wakes up. What have I done this again? Yeah. So at this point, Sam asks whether they are ready for this opportunity. Which
clearly doesn't go down well with his brother, who reminds him of Frankie and the promises he made to him. So I'm not sure if this was a promise. I think he says that he held him as he was dying.
Yes. And told him, I'm going to win the title. And he's like, just get a doctor.
But here's the thing, it's a car crash. Yeah. I can understand if he was dying of an illness and you had, weeks or months where you could sit up beside him.
You could have saved him.
Yeah. But it's like,
he starts telling him, I'll get the title. No, don't just get a paramedic. No, the title, I'll get it for you.
Get a steering wheel.
I'm not dead.
Steering wheel through his neck. And he's like, I want a title. I don't care about a title. Help me.
Anyhow, Sam suggests that maybe Ronnie needs to do what's best for himself, but he says he's not only carrying their dad's dreams, but Frank's as well, and he promised him he would get those belts.
That's what we just discussed there.
Yeah.
In detail.
Yeah.
Go over it again if you want.
Just summating, it's the family dream, essentially.
Sure. At this point, Ronnie snaps back into sort of more positive mood and goes to get beers as Al reappears with an update.
Yeah, he tells Sam he hopes that his plan is not to get Ronnie hungover.
Yeah.
And Sam says it's the best idea he's got so far.
And again, Sam doing usual thing in a busy bar here.
Chatting to Al.
Talking away to himself like a
lunatic.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do we find out about Ronnie's death?
Yeah, he's not killed in the ring. His heart gives way, as we talked about in the intro and so on. And we know from the title of the episode. Yes. It reminds me a bit of did you watch the movie they made with the George Michael music called Last Christmas?
No.
Are you ever likely to watch it?
Probably not.
Okay, so the lyric to the song is Last Christmas, I Gave You My Heart.
Yeah.
And the entire premise of the film is that someone donated their heart at Christmas when they were killed in an accident. It's literally a bit like this.
Definitely not going to watch it now.
No, I wouldn't bother.
No.
Hopefully nobody else was planning to.
They don't know why his heart gave out, however.
No, so Sam asks Al to have Ziggy run Ronnie's medical history because he wants to know everything that might give him a clue.
I think Al says it would be quicker if you asked him, you're a doctor.
Yeah, and Sam quite rightly for once says, not to these guys. However, Al says that I hope it's not stress that's inducing it because there's about to be a bar fight.
Yeah, Ronnie's been challenged by a couple of inbred redneck types who can't understand that they are not commies but only playing a part.
Yeah, the kind of folk who believe that Trump was a good president.
Sam tries to keep the peace.
Well, he tries. He kind of gives in to any of their allegations. Says, yes, okay, fine.
Yeah, and starts to back Ronnie up out the door.
Yeah, but then one of these idiots charges them, which causes Sam to give them his signature move.
Yeah, he unleashes one of his kicks, and this sends them sprawling and delights his brother, who proceeds to tell Myra about it as they sit round the kitchen table back home.
So, how do these guys know about them as a wrestling team? I think it's not on television.
Yeah, of course, we've seen the cameras.
So you think it's televised?
Yeah, it's live.
Live?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I wonder if it maybe radio.
Did you not see the cameras?
I thought it was lights. I have to be honest. Didn't pay that much attention.
Okay.
To the setup around the ring.
Right.
Okay.
No,
is it local, televised locally though? It wouldn't be national.
No. Okay, so a little bit of background again. I don't watch any wrestling, but what you had back in the day before. So for all McMahon's, and it was obviously McMahon's father who was originally involved. He was actually involved in boxing as well. But what you had prior to what we've got today is it was all local territories, and you would have the sort of kings and the superstars of all these, but there was no local, there was no national exposure.
Okay.
So you're just the sort of big guy in your own area.
A celebrity. Okay.
Yeah. And then when the McMahons came along, they effectively started buying up all these territories and creating the national WWF, as it were, and put these local promoters.
That makes sense with the word federation instead of bringing them all.
Exactly. Okay. But back in the day, you had all these guys like Lamar who were local promoters.
Yep.
They all went out, obviously get put out of business because it was now promoted nationally.
Sure, that makes sense. Unless they had guys under contract, but then they were just creating new guys, I suppose.
Well, yeah, but what happened was after these guys became superstars like your Hulk Hogan's and that, there is still a national circuit, but it's now your sort of low level,
failed or...
Well, yeah. I think he's
not medically cleared to do.
Yes. Anyway.
As you say, around the family dinner table, Myra's not very impressed by Ronnie's story of Sam's deeds.
No, and is worried that one day they'll end up in trouble. And although she doesn't go to the matches, as she doesn't like the violence, it's clear that they're a sort of tight family unit, and she tells young Hank it's time for bed.
Yeah, just before that though, Ronnie has to explain to her about what a face and a heel are.
Right.
Not using those terms, but she doesn't understand why they're two bad guys.
You'd have thought that being married, obviously they've been together for a reasonable amount of time because Hank's, about 6 or 7?
This might have come up.
Yeah, you thought she would know that basically even if she doesn't watch it, she would know how wrestling works.
Yeah. Ronnie goes to take Hank to bed, but he has another one of these dizzy turns.
Yeah, which again he claims is just from standing up too fast, and walks out with Hank, allowing Myra to open up a bit to his brother.
I'm worried about him, Terry.
This has happened before, is that right?
At first it was every so often. And now it's happening all the time. He wakes up at night in a cold sweat. I asked him to see a doctor, but you know your brother. He'd rather die than admit he's sick. The worst thing is, I think he'd quit this crazy business if it weren't for that promise he made to Frank. That and
what?
Your mother. I don't want to offend you, Terry, but sometimes I think she'd risk everything just for that stupid title. She's...
What? Obsessed?
Better go see how the boys are doing.
I don't know why Ronnie ever married that girl. She's weak.
She's worried about him.
Who, Ronnie?
Yeah, she's worried he might be sick.
He doesn't look sick to me. Maybe a little tired?
Mom, has Ronnie ever had any trouble with his heart?
What are you talking about?
Well, I just have this feeling that maybe he shouldn't wrestle tomorrow night, that if he does, something bad is going to happen.
Not wrestle. But Terry, this is our big chance. I mean, this is what we have been dreaming about, what we've been working for.
Couldn't we at least have a doctor check him out first?
Oh, look, I told you before, he's fine. I only want what's best for my boys.
What's best for us or what's best for Pop and Frankie?
Son, if you're scared, I can always get someone else to take your place.
Sam's doing a better job than usual of kind of staying in character.
Or is he? He's talking about not wrestling. Do you think that...
Yeah, but in terms of not standing out as being a completely different person from who he's supposed to be, you know, he's talking about his father and his brother. He brings them up in conversation a couple of times.
Sure.
Anyway, Lottie, after that chat, tells him that he'll thank her when he's a world champion.
And he thinks that it is understandable that Lottie thinks he's scared and that he has to come up with something better if he's to convince Ronnie not to wrestle.
He then starts wondering whether the trailers have nameplates, because obviously he doesn't know where he is meant to be sleeping.
Yeah, he struggles to find his own place, but when he does, he's surprised to find that it's not empty.
No, Sherry is there, and she says something good is about to happen for him.
This was an interesting scene. She is making it absolutely clear what she wants, and she's literally rubbing ice all over her chest.
Yes.
Wasn't unattractive.
No. But she's doing it for an ulterior reason.
Well,
we're about to find.
We'll find that out, yeah. She sprawls over a couch, which Sam declines to join her on. And he then starts to explain the reason why that it's not a good idea and how she's a married woman and all this type of stuff.
As if she's not aware of that.
Yeah, it's her choice.
Yeah.
You've no idea about the relationship.
Nope. She tells him that Carl's too busy watching the Three Stooges and won't even know that she's gone. She tells Sam to relax, but then there's a bit of a twist.
Her prior assumption is wrong.
Carl's not watching the Three Stooges at all.
He's banging on the door and shouting her name, causing Sam to stop her screaming by putting his hand over her mouth.
Yeah, well, she's also screaming to alert Carl to the fact that she's there.
Yeah.
He rages outside and calls Sam a backstabbing wife stealer. How's he backstabbing?
Yeah.
They don't have any prior arrangement or friendship or anything?
No, not that we're aware of. He then threatens to pull him limb from limb, and I think he catches him through the window.
Yes, Al shows up and explains to Sam that this is actually Sherry's thing.
Yeah, we see her giggling. She's quite enjoying the attention, or what's...
She gets off on watching Carl beat up men that he thinks are trying to steal her.
Yeah, well, whatever you're into.
Yeah.
She admits to setting him up as this is the point where Carol's arm breaks through the glass, a bit like sort of a Jason from Friday the 13th, and he threatens to shove his head up his ass.
Yes. Al beckons Sam over to the sort of roof vent where he's able to escape, and as Carl rips the door off its hinges, Sam's making his way out onto the...
And he somehow manages to accidentally knock him out.
Well, I think he spreads his legs and Carl charges between them and hits his face off the wall. It's just a bit stupid.
It's very wrestling like styled.
He throws a couple of sort of punch-drunk punches at this point.
Yeah.
So he's concussed as well. How's he going to fight? Anyway, Sherry looks very disappointed by this outcome.
We next catch up with him at the arena where this wrestling is going to be broadcast from, as Al explains to an incredulous Sam that there are women who like to make men suffer, and he should know.
He's married most of them. Sam wants to get out of there, and he tells Al that Ronnie and Lottie are still all in favour of this family dream.
Yeah, and he's not had any help from Ziggy by the fact that he can't provide any medical history.
No, so Al wishes Sam good luck and leaves.
Yeah, but before that, Sam has a good idea. He thinks that one way out might be to get a doctor to examine him and have him failed in medical grounds.
Yeah, he's already raised that with Lottie, didn't he?
Yeah.
After Al leaves, Sam wanders over towards the ring.
Yeah, and he watches in horror as bodies are being thrown around, and he persuades the busy promoter to go to the bar for a chat.
Sure you don't want anything?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
So, what can I do for you?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about the match tomorrow.
Well, everything will be okay if you promise to keep your feet on the floor.
No, that's not exactly what I meant.
Well, what then?
Lamar, I need you to cancel the match.
What?
Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I mean, we really appreciate the opportunity and everything, but see, I just don't think that right now would be a really good time for Ronnie to wrestle.
I really don't understand.
Well, see, he's very sick.
Well, why didn't he come to me earlier and tell me about it?
Well, I'm not sure that he really knows.
No, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You're saying he's sick and he doesn't know it?
It's kind of hard to explain.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, come on. I have got a lot of money invested in putting this match together, and I am just not going to blow it off.
Well, I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying maybe you could go out and get a new team.
Where? I mean, we are 24 hours away from when the camera starts to roll. Oh, my son, look, you're just nervous. Now, you go home, you get some sleep, everything will look better in the morning.
Let me just say this, if I'm right, and Ronnie does get hurt, you're going to be held liable, and you could lose everything. Now, all I'm asking is that you just bring a doctor in and do a checkup on him, that's all.
All right. Have him in the dressing room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
He'll be there.
All right.
Yes, sir, thank you. Thank you.
So the next morning we are at this medical checkup and Ronnie doesn't understand what's going on. He thinks the Shilohs are behind it.
Yeah, as they want him out of action. However, as he is being examined, Lamar throws Sam under the bus.
Yeah, he says, if you want to know who's behind it, look at your brother. And he has to explain that Myra has told him about the dizzy spells. And Ronnie's not best pleased, I would say.
No, understandably, but he does, again, try to play this down. And Lamar advises him just to let the doctor do his job.
It's interesting that Ronnie never gets angry about this. No matter how often Sam makes a point of it, he's just like, no, I'm fighting, but he doesn't get mad at him.
No, I said earlier, I mean, I think they're a very tight-knit family, and also perhaps deep down...
He knows it's an issue.
Yeah, and he's He wants to get to the bottom of it. However,
he gets the all clear.
It's quite a perfunctory look over he gets.
Yeah, and it's not really the all clear. He's told that there's fluid in his lungs or something like that. Congestion in his lungs.
Congestion, yeah. So Sam isn't happy. He demands all sorts of scans and x-rays to detect a heart defect.
Scans and MRIs. Yeah.
These things wouldn't have existed in 1955, would they?
Well, we'll get that in the trivia.
Okay.
Ronnie intervenes at this point and he apologises on Sam's behalf, and Lamar and the doctor leave.
Yeah, I mean, they don't understand why Sam is focusing or mentioning a heart problem, because there's no indication he's got such an ailment.
Yeah, they just know he's had dizzy spells, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sam tells Ronnie that he knows there's something wrong, but Ronnie says all he knows is he promised Frank he would get the belt, and he's not going to quit until he does, even if it kills him.
Back at the trailer, Sam updates Al on what has happened before Ziggy sends through the medical history. There's
not a lot of interest on it, but Sam picks up on one thing.
What's that?
He had rheumatic fever as a boy.
Now, this apparently can cause narrowing of the heart valves, and so he sets off through the broken door to speak with Ronnie.
What do you think he's going to achieve here?
I'm not sure.
He's already had the conversation with Ronnie and with Lottie. He's just said, "Oh, you were sick as a child."
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you know? You're a big lump of a wrestler.
Yeah, and also that was already the case when you talked to me before. I was still sick as a child.
Yeah. So he meets up with him at the venue, and obviously Ronnie is not keen to accept his opinion.
Of course not.
And Myra is puzzled as to how Sam even knew about this fever.
He reacts to that quite nicely, saying that Frank had told him at some point.
Yeah, quite quick on his feet there.
Yeah.
However, this does make her think, and she admits that he was very sick as a child and is worried that Sam may be right.
Yeah, the doctors had warned her that there could be problems later on, and suggest maybe they should wait until a specialist can check Ronnie out, but he refuses. He's going to go wrestling with or without his family.
And he storms off. In the dressing room,
Sam also has shown up because he's not going to let Ronnie fight by himself.
Yeah, this is the evening of the fight. The undercard is taking place as he gets changed and tells Al that he is going to make sure that Ronnie doesn't wrestle. How is he going to do that?
He's going to fight the whole fight himself.
This doesn't make
any sense.
No, or even practical.
No, because it's a tag team match. You can't just fight one guy.
Yeah, I'm sure the referee would say, listen, you need to
tag him in, or someone's going to do something.
Yeah. Even
you can't control the whole thing.
No, and even Ronnie would just jump in. I'm sure the referee would say, yeah, that's fine.
You see that all the time in tag team fights, folks. Someone who's not been tagged in jumps in the ring.
Although, in fairness, they have set up that the fight, the title fight is entirely legit.
Yeah, I suppose it has to go by the rules.
But still, I think if he did jump in and Ronnie tagged him, the referee would order Sam out after a certain amount of time.
Or order Ronnie out if he was in the ring without being tagged. That doesn't stop Ronnie working too hard or getting too stressed or damaging his heart.
Exactly. The opposite might happen.
You can't expect him to stand there
shouting and screaming, let me in, and then he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah.
Al thinks in any case it's a suicide mission, but accepts that he apparently doesn't have a better idea and asks how it's going to help get Ronnie treatment.
Sam's got a plan for that too, and he makes a deal with Ronnie. He says if they win the titles, Ronnie will agree to get checked over by a specialist, and he says that's fine.
And so Sam is happy with his plan until Lamar enters and throws a spanner in the works.
Both here. Just about to get started. Did you get any questions?
You just make sure you get those belts shined up real nice.
You're kidding, right? I mean, oh, now, wait a minute. You don't honestly think you're going to win?
You damn right we do. Now, what's going on here, Lamar?
Oh, come on. I thought you boys had that figured out.
Figured what out?
You can't win.
Can't win? What are you talking about? Just a title match.
Well, you bet it's a title match. And you boys are the Russians. Now, how the hell is it going to look to the American public to have a couple of communists be the world champion?
But we're not from Russia. We're from Arkansas.
I know that. You know that. But John Q. Public don't know that. To him, you represent the epitome of evil. Something to be destroyed. All right. It'll make you feel better. The exposure you are going to get from this match is going to keep you boys working For years.
This ain't right. This is a title match, and we ought to have a chance of winning it.
He's right. This is a real thing. Man to man, fight to the death. I'll see you in the ring, boy.
Uh-oh. According to Ziggy, there's a 75.3% chance he's gonna kill you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
As we heard at the end of the clip there, Lamar starts announcing this fight. He's going to commentate as well as being the promoter.
Yeah, so it's the main event. The Ruskies are introduced to loud boos and the Texan Shiloh brothers to cheers.
Sam agrees with Ronnie that he will start out the fight and tag Ronnie in later.
And Al tries to give him some confidence by suggesting that Carol may be all talk. I mean, I'm not sure. They know this isn't some unknown.
There's a good shot here where Carl slams Sam into the ring post through Al.
Yes.
Who then decides to vacate the ring.
Yeah, he realises that, it might not be all talk. We see Sam take a sustained beating, but refuses to tag the desperate Ronnie in.
We cut forward and it's kind of a montage of pain for Sam. He manages to kick out of a pin attempt before being tossed over the ropes, and at this point Al tells him he's been in there for over an hour.
That's incredible. I mean, I don't know much about wrestling, but I don't think these things go on for an hour.
Has the other guy not tagged out either? Or are the two of them combining to beat him up? Because you never see the second Shiloh brother.
You don't, that's the point. But I suppose if you're just beating someone up for an hour, it's easy to do that. It's hard to take the beating.
At this point, Sam realises he has to do what his brother suggested. He has to try and suffocate these opponents.
Well, I think Al unintentionally gives him this thought because he says, you have to find a way to put him to sleep.
Yeah. So Sam's been counted out of the ring and Carl doesn't want the fight to end that way, so he storms over and chucks Sam back into the ring.
He then takes a headbutt, but somehow manages to jump on his back.
Well, he dodges, I think, Carl as he comes across the ring and then, jumps up on his back like a cocky back and gets his arm around the throat of the big guy.
But as we discussed earlier, would Sam, if he's just an aura and he's only got Sam's strength, would he be able to do this?
I don't think his arms would be strong enough to actually choke out the guy.
And he's not going to
Although, to be fair, the guy has been running around for an hour. But it's with Sam.
But again, he's not a wrestler. This guy's a pro wrestler.
Yeah. But then they're not built for stamina.
No, but even, I don't know. And why would it have taken so long?
Oh, Sam's just dogged and relentless. He won't let him pin him.
Okay, that's my point. Sam with Sam's smaller size relatively, and his complete lack of wrestling ability.
Yeah, and I think we only see Ronnie at one point asking to be tagged in.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd get more of that, but no.
Anyway, he does do it. He chokes him out and wins the match.
Oh yes, it's a joyous occasion.
And initially, you see Ronnie holding Sam's arms up in victory. However, when they get back to the dressing room, he's not as happy.
Well, but he knows what Sam did.
Yeah.
He knows why he did it, but he's not pleased. He tells Sam he could have been killed, but Sam says, a deal is a deal. You have to go to the doctor or I'll put the sleeper on you as well.
Yes.
It's not that intimidating a threat, but it's playful.
No, Ronnie's initially angry, but this sort of diffuses the situation a little bit and he says, yeah, okay, fair enough.
I think Sam realises he's about to leap, so he asks Al for an update on what's going to happen. He says that Ronnie gets the medication, he never wrestles again, but his son Hank takes the sport up and wins an Olympic silver medal in the 68 games.
At this point, Carol is dragged in and being fussed over by Sherry, who turns to Sam and, quite viciously, tells him that she wishes Carol had, I think, cut him and torn him apart in the trailer.
Yeah, her demeanour's completely changed now that her husband is hurt.
I thought it was going to be a case that she then sort of ditches him and is all over Sam.
It turns out she loves Carl. She just wanted to see him beat Sam up.
Yeah. And as she turns back round and bends over to tend to her husband, she presents a not unattractive...
If you've seen Father Ted and Bishop Brennan, there's a scene where Ted is unable to resist the opportunity to kick Bishop Brennan up the arse.
Yes.
And it's the same thing here for Sam. He sees the arse of Sherry Shiloh and remembering her previous antics, thinks it's an opportunity to attack a woman.
Yeah, he tries to resist it first, but in the end he does take a swing, and as it connects, he leaps.
Yeah, I think we can let him away. I don't think this is any kind of abuse or violence against women that we would condemn.
No.
It's playful to a certain extent.
It's not a toe, it's a sort of side foot, you know, it'd be more, she'd probably just fall over rather than...
And she deserves it.
She does deserve it, yeah. She's a bit of a scumbag.
Sam, as you say, leaps and we see him arrive in some kind of nuclear bunker with gas masks and someone shouting about World War III. It's all a bit mayhem,
bit chaotic.
Chaos, yeah.
And we get an old boy. Yeah,
and that's the end. So, yeah, you've already kind of answered this question. Did you find Sam's victory plausible?
No, not at all.
And then I've said nothing else to ask, because that's literally all that happens in this episode.
Yeah.
I feel like Sam wasn't forced to do anything too challenging here, other than obviously not get killed and wrestle beyond his actual physical abilities. Like, he only had to stop one scenario from happening. He just had to stop Ronnie from that particular wrestling match. It wasn't a case of he could die at any time.
But he could die. I mean, depends.
In this scenario.
Yeah, but you know, he could die. Sam could die.
Sam could have died.
Because even though it's sort of faked, even in this situation, if you don't know how to fall properly, get thrown about and lifted up and dropped, you could easily...
Well, I guess he has those skills latent.
Yeah.
Who knows?
An hour with a pro wrestler.
I mean, he is martial art. He is a trained martial artist. We know that from the past.
Yeah, but they're not fighters.
But they have to fall. I don't know. Anyway, some trivia.
Sure.
Aired originally on the 8th of May 1991, directed by Joe Napolitano, our old friend. 6th of his 12 episodes. His first one was Pool Hall Blues. Listen to that podcast if you want to hear more about him. The writer was Tommy Thompson. 6th of his 13. If you want to hear more about him, it's Leaping In Without a Net. Carl Shiloh, played by Terry Funk. This was his only Quantum Leap episode. He's also in things like Paradise Alley and Roadhouse. He's a WWF or WWE Hall of Famer. He wrestled there as Chainsaw Charlie, but he had a long wrestling career in other organisations as well. He's now 78 years old.
And I've actually got his biography or autobiography in my to read or listen to list. Probably an interesting guy. In fact, I know he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. Sherry Shiloh was played by Deborah Wakeham. Her only Quantum Leap. She's also in Major League, Spider-Man, and 2 episodes of Sledgehammer.
She is.
Last of the Red Hot Vampires and Model Dearest. There's a theme there. She now has a production company and a health and beauty company, and I think she has another company dealing in real estate, and she was last seen on screen in 2003. Ronnie, the brother, played by Jerry Bossard, he didn't really have an acting career. Only like 5 or 6 other things, nothing beyond 1992.
Okay. He's
62 years old now, as far as we know. Lottie was played by the very famous Angela Payton. This was her only Quantum Leap. She had a long and celebrated career. She worked in theatre for a long time, and in the 50s she moved into on-screen work. She was in things like Groundhog Day, Wedding Singer. She plays the florist in The Wedding Singer. It's a good scene. She's in Star Trek Voyager. She's been in Curb Your Enthusiasm, many other things. She died at the age of 86 in 2016. Doc Graves was played by Rance Howard. That's an interesting name, Rance.
A very famous man, or certainly his offspring is.
Well, you can tell me about the offspring. I'm going to mention the fact that this was his only Quantum Leap, and he's been in all sorts of things, including the X-Files, ER, the movie Independence Day, and he died when he was 89 in 2017.
Yeah, father of Ron Howard and what's the other brother?
The one that's in all the Star Trek stuff.
Yeah, and Gentle Ben.
And obviously the grandfather of Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes.
From the Jurassic World movies.
Yep. I only found out, I didn't realise until recently that she was part of that Howard dynasty.
Yeah, she's Ron's daughter.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
I've not seen her.
I think he's cast her and stuff.
Has he?
Yeah.
Right.
Myra was played by Susan Isaacs. Interestingly, this is the first of 2 Quantum Leaps for her. She's also been in Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Great movie, yeah.
Yep. A lot of folk compare it to Midnight Run.
Yeah. Oh, did you say Scrooge there as well?
Yeah, Scrooge, I'm about to say it.
Interestingly, right now I'm listening to a brilliant book on called Wild and Crazy Guys about the 80s comedies, all the legends from Saturday Night Live. Okay. Like, you know, obviously Bill Murray there.
Yeah.
Steve Martin, John Candy, Chevy Chase.
Your favourite?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. She's also been in things like Parks and Recreation, and she's still active, 61 years old. Terry Samus Reflection, so the character that Sam was playing was played by Jeff Hawkendonner. His only Quantum Leap, he's also been in things like My Bloody Valentine, I Am Number 4, and 1 episode of Columbo.
Oh.
He was a football player at the Wake in A Bird in the Hand.
Was he?
So the idiot in the bar apparently was called Stan. He was played by Tim DeZarn. This was his only quantum leap. He's also been in things like Mad Men, Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's now 70, still active. And Lamar, the promoter, was played by Don Hood. He died in 2003 at the age of 62. This was his only quantum leap, but he was also in things like Runaway Jury, Ed Wood, and Fletch Lives. But there's not much trivia for this one. Terry Funk performed his own stunts, as you might imagine. CAT scans weren't invented for another 15 to 20 years. In terms of things that we learned, Sam doesn't know anything about pro wrestling, but knows a lot about heart disease. They spend a lot less time on things like what Sam does and doesn't know than they did in the first season or two. Like they did a lot about him being a doctor and a lot about him being PhD and having languages and stuff, and that's kind of fallen by the wayside, isn't it?
Well, I think once you've sort of developed the character, we know that that's
in the background.
Yeah. Okay, July 23rd, 1955. What have we got?
I've got two things. Firstly, Donald Campbell, who was tragically fated to die 10 years or so later. He drove the Bluebird K7 to a new water speed record at Ullswater in the English Lake District. First boat ever to go past 200 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got Cordell Hull, who was the longest serving US Secretary of State, who was involved in founding the UN, for which he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He died that day at the age of 83.
I've got a couple of births. William Dafoe, actor.
Okay.
And also Glenn Danzig, bit of a pain in the backside, but he's from the band Danzig, sort of heavy metal band. Singer.
Musical?
Yep, we had Bill Haley and his Comets with Rock Around the Clock in the States. And in the UK, it was Dreamboat by Alma Cogan.
There you go. Next week, we have Nuclear Family, where the Cuban Missile Crisis has Sam in a fluster. So we'll see you in 1962.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.